Hello everybody, welcome to the Mild Rumpus, coming at you live from the House of Flimsy, my dilapidated one-bedroom apartment that is filled with books and noise. Today we're going to be talking about all of the books I read during the miserable month of March. Let it be known, put it on the permanent record, I hate the month of March. I am totally against it. If I could, I would just get rid of it altogether. It's a horrible, horrible time of year. Why would anyone put themselves through this? You've got that time change. The weather is constantly shifting from, you think it's going to be spring, but nope, the next day it's cold and raining and wet. And I feel like I've been sick for like 3 months. You can hear it in my voice. The allergies, everything. It's the worst. And yet somehow during all of this, I guess it was just pure stress and escapism, I managed to read 10 books. So I'm going to tell you about them. A whole lot of the books are tied to reading challenges that happen throughout the month. There's many of them, I guess, because it's such a horrible time of year that, what else are you going to do? Oh my God. I need to do like that dochi breathing exercise, that ooh, cha. I didn't do the mammoth reading challenge because I just read Moby Dick like the month before, and I am so far behind on my reading goal. I have a reading goal of 100 books, and I don't know if I'm going to meet it. I might not. It's very possible that I'm not. You're not a loser until you stop trying. I can't remember who said that, but I just heard it this week. You're not a loser until you stop trying. But I'm not going to read like skinny books and just be like, oh, I read a book. I don't like that. I don't like that. I also feel like I'm about to die. Oh, God. Life is exhausting. All right, let's do it. The first book that we'll talk about is one that I finished reading in March, but I started reading in February. I just was enjoying it so much, I wanted to take my time, and that is Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. This is a modern day classic. If you read the book, you'll understand why. I was totally engrossed from the very first page. It kind of has this almost sort of Forrest Gump effect where, the main character, who I believe is nameless, I don't think we ever learn his name, he meets up with this person and it leads to this thing, and then that leads to this other thing and this other thing, and eventually he winds up becoming sort of this spokesperson for this group that winds up being kind of a group of communists. And I do kind of wish there was another act, and I would have loved to have known what happened next. And I guess that's a great thing. Like if you're left wanting more and you want to know what happens to the character when the book is over, well, then that's a good sign. I think that's the sign of a great book and wonderful storytelling. So if you're into wonderful storytelling, check out Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. The next book I picked up a while back and was really looking forward to reading. And for whatever reason, it just seemed like the perfect time. But it wasn't at all what I was expecting. This guy doesn't feel like he's part of the human race. And he's so hard on himself and just like in this major depression. He's just miserable. So it's not going to be a fun reading experience. But I will say it's a short book. And look at the margins. I mean, I read it in a day. But yeah, you're just like, guy, what's wrong with you? Why do you feel so bad? You just want to give him some Prozac, or a little Valium, a little pick-me-up. Not the book to read during the month of March. Now, this next book I devoured. I loved this book. I had so much fun reading it. It's pretty long. It's like 434 pages, but I read it in like 2 days. It's a real page turner. It's billed as an epic tale of medieval horror, but it goes even beyond that. There's this whole sort of like spiritual warfare going on as well. And the book is called Between Two Fires. It looks like it's self-published, at least this edition is. I don't see a publisher anywhere, and there's no copyright page. Also, the font is just odd looking. So let me read you the little thing here on the back. It says, a brutal knight offered one final chance at salvation. A troubled priest, last survivor of his parish, drowning himself in wine and guilt. A young girl orphaned by the Black Death, obeying the commands of angels both terrible and beautiful, this trio will undertake a journey across a medieval French countryside decimated by war and plague, encountering along the way martyrs and saints, the damned and their hellish masters. Speaking of demons, they have little chance to save mankind, but they might, just might, save their own souls, Ace. Their own souls. When I read a book, I can sometimes forget everything about it in a month or two. This is one that really stands out and is sticking out in my mind. There's one part in particular where they go to a feast, and that's all I'll say because I don't want to ruin anything. But just that whole chapter is incredible, and I would love to see this turned into a film. Sam Raimi needs to make a movie version of this. Like, hello, HBO, get on it. Just cool. It's a cool book. This next book I borrowed from a coworker. It's a genre I very rarely read. It's self-help. I don't know. I think a lot of self-help books are kind of hokey and full of it. But this is one that's referenced all the time, and I just felt out of the loop. But then once I read it, I was like, oh, well, this is, I don't know. To me, a lot of it seemed like common sense, but that's Atomic Habits. How many times can you be told making small changes in your life can lead to big results? But obviously there's an audience for it. Over 4 million copies sold. So I guess if you're, a total train wreck of a person, or you're making that transition, I guess, into basic adulthood, this is a good book for you to read. But otherwise, it's probably things you already know. Now I've read it, and when someone references it, I can go, oh yes, I've read that book too, Atomic Habits. Okay, middle grade March. This was the big project of the month. One book that I left out. You know what? 11 books. 11 books this month. One book I left out is Tori Amos's children's book. She's written a storybook called Tori and Her Muses, which I ordered and read, and it was cute and all. But during her book tour, she recommended a series that takes place in Cornwall, where she lives, called The Dark is Rising Sequence, which I had never heard of, but apparently it was popular and quite successful. It's won the Newbery Prize. But yeah, it consists of 5 books, and they are Over the Sea, Under Stone, The Dark is Rising, Green Witch, The Grey King, and Silver on the Tree. I would say that if you are into Welsh culture, if you're into, like the stories of King Arthur, if you are into time travel, if you are a fan of The Boy Wizard, there's definitely influences in this series. In fact, there is even a magical being that is very briefly referenced in this series that has the last name Potter. So I don't know, Miss Rowland might have been really inspired by this series. I don't know, nor do I care. Good riddance to that rubbish. But it's interesting. I think my biggest gripe with the book is, like, the first one opens up with these group of kids. You've got Simon, Jane, and Barney on holiday in Cornwall. They find an old map that sends them on a quest for a treasure of terrifying power, the only possible defense against the ancient forces of evil that are secretly rising to sweep over the world. That sounds awesome, right? But then the second book takes you completely away from them. And you are introduced to a new character by the name of Will, who on his 11th birthday discovers astounding gifts, blah, 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 right? But then the third book joins them together. And then the fourth book, no, we're introduced to a new character, which carries on into the final book. I checked it out from the library, so I'm living up to that goal of using my public library more, and they're all overdue, which is why I'm making this video. Cue that annoying radiator. That sound could mean only one thing. We have reached our final book. And this is one that I read for the Women in Translation reading event. It's a book that people have talked about and raved about forever, and I finally got a copy and sat down and read it. And that is I Who Have Never Known Men, which I believe was originally published under the title of Mistress of Silence? I could be lying. I think that's the original title, Mistress of Silence. If you are into The Handmaid's Tale, this is your vibe. This is a book about a group of women, I think there's 39 of them, that are in a cage underground, and they're being guarded by these male soldiers. And then one day, I don't think this is a major spoiler, but if it is, go la 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 la. One day, something happens, and the women are able to free themselves and leave. And then life ensues, and our narrator is the youngest person out of these women. And so we learn along with her and discover this unknown world, which, where even are we? You know, there's a lot of ambiguity. Oh my God. We need to end this video. That is it. We did it. We did the thing. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for hanging in there. If you haven't done so already, feed that algorithm. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it pushes out the video to other book nerds like us. There's no tariff on hitting that subscribe button. Not yet, anyway. Just give it some time. Say hi. Tell me a joke. Most importantly, give me some good book recommendations. I'm always on the hunt for the next one. So until next time, be safe. Stay hydrated. Keep your fingers crossed that spring gets sprung real soon. And yeah, stay safe out there.